Today is National Divorce Day, which falls on the first business day after the holidays each year, marking the beginning of a surge of calls and visits to family attorneys as marriage partners start to inquire about filing for divorce. This process can cause a struggle not only for couples, but their children, and the tensions usually continue years after the legal process is complete. But it doesn't have to be that way. Andrea Hips, certified divorce coach and divorce recovery expert, joins us now. And so it's great to see you, Andrea.
Great to see you too. Thanks for having me, Rachel.
Yeah, I know a lot of times people are asking the question, especially after the holidays, and saying, is divorce the right solution? I think that we may be at that point. What is your advice to them?
Folks that are in the do I or don't I phase are in a really tricky spot, right? Because the thing that often comes home to us is, in order for my life personally as an adult to move on and feel more settled, I need to leave this relationship. But it feels as though you're transferring that pain then to your children. And so with divorce coaching, we really work through, how do we not make this such a double bind? How can we move through divorce in a way that is supportive not only of ourselves, but supportive of our children as well?
I think a lot of people don't use a divorce coach. They just call an attorney, and that's the process they think they need to take. And of course, an attorney is an attorney, not a counselor or not someone, their job is the legal part of it. What do you offer people?
Sure. I think attorneys are fantastic people to have on your divorce team. But before you call an attorney, my first piece of advice is go inside. Before you go outside, go inside and start to ask yourself, what do I want my relationship with my former partner to look like 2 years, 5 years, even 10 years down the road? Once you can get clear on that, you can start to reverse engineer how you plan to move through your divorce process. Now, when you're picturing your future relationship, you don't get to picture your former partner being a brand new person that was never who they ever were going to be. You picture yourself and how you want to be offering yourself to your children and to that person. Then when you're working with your lawyer, they can help you march toward that destination with greater ease.
Sure.
And like you said, we use our attorneys for the legal portion of our divorce. We need to use other support for the emotional part.
And divorce is so prevalent these days, and it's something that not a lot of people talk about, especially when they are in the midst of it. How do you avoid pitfalls that it seems a lot of couples and individuals just seem to fall into during the divorce process?
Absolutely. I think there is a reactor-creator dilemma. And reactor and creator, it's the same word, just with differently arranged letters, right? And so when we're in reactive divorcing, we are stuck in fight or flight. Our brains only are seeing threats, and we are reacting to every one of them. We are resisting, we're saying no a lot, digging in our heels, and we're also great at finding fault in the other person. When we shift into becoming a creator and really starting to use creative divorcing principles, we go into our logical and more reasoning brain. And that's the part of us that can come up with solutions that really benefit us during this time. We also stop with the no and start to say yes. And we not only start to work with the situation, we start to be able to contribute to it, which is key. And then finally, we start to take responsibility for the situation that we're going to be in, regardless of who is at fault. And so I really, as a divorce coach, try to encourage people to move more into that creative divorcing space where you start to be able to work with. I think divorce puts up a lot of no. And so that's sort of our ultimate goal.
So, Andrea, I have to ask you about kids. And not all marriages involve kids, but you know, a lot of people cite the reason that they put off divorce because of children. And so how do you go about navigating this already difficult process and really try to have care and love for the children that are involved, that are completely innocent of the relationship?
Of course, and my heart is in that situation as well for those kids. Our kids need 3 things from us. This has been scientifically studied. The top 3 things our kids need from us. They need us to give them love and affection. They need us to manage our stress well. And they need us to be in healthy relationship with their other parent. And Rachel, this is true whether you are married or divorced. And so it becomes really critical because we can always give the love and affection, right? It's the other two that are harder. How we manage our stress and how do we develop that healthy relationship. And one of the things I work with people on is developing a sense of where their hot button triggers are, right? We all get sort of lit up whenever we get in an argument with our former partner. And so being able to really get clear on what are my triggers. Triggers generally fall into one of 5 categories. You're either getting triggered in your sense of status, which is maybe your competency as a parent or as an adult, your sense of certainty, whether or not you can rely on the other person from a schedule perspective or behavior perspective, your sense of autonomy, which is ability to sort of move around without anybody getting in your way, your sense of relatedness, which is whether or not you belong in the family or the group, and then finally, your sense of fairness, which is a big one in divorce. So once we can figure out what our triggers are, get them into one of those categories, we can start coming up with a game plan. And that game plan is your lifeline, and that is the lifeline for your kids as well. When you know that you're going to be talking to them and they're going to trigger X, Y, and Z, and you've got a rooted, centered response, you are going to feel great about it. And your kids are going to notice that you're able to give them that calm and centered family experience that they had prior to the divorce.
Andrea, I want to ask you on how you relate, because you have a different number of social media platforms that you allow people to be a part of and feel maybe they're not so alone in what can be a very alone process. And then you also do counseling with couples, do Zoom calls, and you offer that. Can you just talk a little bit about those takeaways that you offer people?
Absolutely. The loneliest, most difficult time, I agree with you, Rachel, is the time when no one else knows, right? There is a period of time when you are contemplating divorce where you have a very small, what I call boohoo crew, that you can talk to about your divorce. And it is a very difficult time because you're being asked to interact with the public in ways that don't reflect this very deep inner struggle that's going on. So yes, I do offer, I have a Facebook page and I have an Instagram page, all of which are designed to really give you tips, tricks, tools to get through this part. I offer a free communication guide for how to engage with a difficult partner. And then, of course, I offer one-on-one divorce coaching. I offer actually a very simple starter pack for folks. It's just 4 sessions. We cover the absolute basics that you will come back to time and time again, whether you're in the do I or don't I phase, you're in the messy middle, or you're even 5 years out and still resolving some of that divorce debris that hangs on as you're raising children together.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time, Andrea. You know, we're all looking to just start this new year in the best way possible, especially after what we saw in 2020. So
Absolutely.
We appreciate your advice and your presence.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the time.
Yeah.